Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending what time you're watching this video. Thanks for joining me. My name is WASP, and this is my follow-up video to the unboxing of the MSI RTX 3070 Gaming X Trio that I purchased. And I said once I'd stuck it in, I'd get an impression of what I thought of the card and how it performs. So for the first, the original card that I had was an MSI 1080 water-cooled Seahawk, it was called. So it's basically a water-cooled 1080 card. That was about 4 years old, or lasted 4 years, and it's now in my son's machine, and he's using that instead of his old 970. So I've now got the 3070. So what happened? Well, first of all, I plugged it into my system inside my Quad Stellar, deep cool Quad Stellar case. Little bit of spec on my system, my original system, as it has been for the last 3 or 4 years, is a Intel i7 7700K with a motherboard MSI Carbon Racing Pro Z270 and 24 gigabytes of Corsair memory, decent Corsair memory. I can't remember the exact spec, but it's like 3000 around that, and it's good stuff, put it that way. But overall, 4 years old. I am looking next year to change it to the new 1200 VGA or SVA system. SVGA, VGA, basically the 10 series i9 Intel with a new motherboard, probably something like a Tomahawk, and memory, I don't know, depends what's about at the time, but some decent memory and possibly a slightly higher power supply. Cost around about £800, but that won't be till the new year. So for the meantime, all I've done is this swap out of the card. So let's keep it short. I put the card in. First thing I noticed was Warzone upscaled itself. It reset itself, it must have detected it, and it upscaled from 1080p, which is what my monitor is, it's a 1080p, to 4K. And it was so sharp, it was phenomenal. I mean, I was gobsmacked from the start. Everything was on ultra, and it ran like ball bearing on a grease plate. Absolutely beautiful, no hiccups whatsoever. And I'll show the scores. I ran a 3D Mark by FutureMark scoring system on it that day and got a fantastic score. Since then, things have changed, and we're going to look at that, and then obviously you can comment and hopefully someone can help me out to understand why things have changed, because I haven't worked that out yet. So card in, ran it, lovely, jubbly, great, enjoyed it. As far as RTX or ray tracing is concerned, I didn't really understand what I was supposed to be seeing or looking for, so I had to look that up first and watch a couple of videos, and I realised now it's all the shininess, the candy, the reflections on water, the real time lighting as you move and stuff like that. You can have the same scene but move different ways and get different lighting. It's real time lighting. I understand all that now, but in Warzone it really didn't make any difference. I could not visually myself see it. Maybe it's just me, maybe I was too engrossed in the game. The sharpness and the graphics, I could see the difference, but I couldn't see anything with the lighting, nothing that made me go wow. So I put Battlefield 5 on the system, and there I could see a difference in graphics as far as candy, what I call eye candy. It looked so much more earthy and real and depth and stuff. I could really see it. So I think it's all down to the game, how they implement that RTX in the game. That makes the big difference. So I'm looking forward to seeing better results of that as we go along. Other than that, the only other thing I've noticed is the temperature. It tends to run anywhere between 60 and 80 Celsius, which I figure was pretty high. My 1080, although water cooled, obviously it's more efficient, would run around 40 or 50. This is running between 60 and 80 when it's at full chat on everything, all high resolution, everything on ultra, blah blah blah. So I don't know if that is normal for this card. So hopefully, if there's any other RTX 3070 owners out there, just drop me a comment and say yes, it's normal, mine runs at this, or no, it doesn't, you must have something wrong. I'd really appreciate that. So anyway, let me just get rid of this front screen picture. This is 3D Mark by FutureMark. I've used this for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been building PCs. Fabulous bit of software, very well trusted, very well known, and I have to say thank you to them for keeping up the good work. This is the score that I ran today. I've run it twice today. This is the best of the two scores that I've run today, 9,431. Now what I'm going to do is compare those results online to other tests that I have done. Now, this first screen gives you just a general comparison of where your PC groups, and mine's is better than 84% of all the people that use this software, which is a massive amount of people. It might not be the whole of the population of UK. It's probably more because they use it in Europe and all around the world. So it is easily by far one of the best indicators of how good your system is with a synthetic score. And mine being in the top 84% makes me very happy, considering all I've done is replace the actual graphics card. So that's a good mark to get first off. Now if I go to my results, because you can save all your results every time you do this. Now that's the result I got today. That was the one I got earlier today. It was about 200 shorter. You always get a discrepancy. There's always a difference. Now the only thing I changed between those two was the Dragon software has been switched to extreme performance. I've not used that before. That's the first time I've used it, and it's given me a 200 better score. I'm willing to do that. That must have been one that I'd done sometime at another stage. I'm not sure when. Probably a week or so after I got the card. And this one was the first score I put in. When I first put that card in, about an hour later after putting all my system back together, that is what I got. And I was extremely happy. This score here is the last score I got with the 1080. So we'll go with the 1080 first. We'll add that to compare. Well, then the first score I got, which would have been with the earlier drivers, the very first drivers that I got when I put it in. And then we'll go with the last result I got today. And we'll look at those and compare them. Now, I cannot for the life of me work out why these results are the way they are. And that's why, hopefully, by showing this video, someone out there will go, oh yeah, well you got this, or you got that, WASP. There you go. So my 3D Mark scores, obviously the one that when I first put the card in was the best. But I think for the minute we need to ignore this middle line, just for the minute, and just go with the last with the 1080 to the last with the new 3070. So we've got 7 and 9, an increase of about 1,800. Not bad. Graphically, we've got about 3.5, so that's a big jump on the graphics side of things. CPU score has dropped dramatically. Now there have been some window updates recently, and I can only assume or presume that is why my CPU score has dropped. I don't know why all of a sudden my CPU has dropped. Graphics test 1, graphics test 2, slight increases, CPU test, a drop. I don't know why. 2 frames per second on the CPU. I've not changed the overclock, I've not done anything to it. On the benchmark, as you can see, there's obviously different versions, UI versions of Time Spy or FutureMark or 3D Mark as it's called, purely because that's just they've tweaked it. Whether that has any bearing on anything, I presume it has a slight bearing, but not a lot. graphics card on its own, there's not a massive difference in the frequencies. If you look at the clock frequency of the 1080, you've got 1987 as opposed to 2040. So it's only 100 or so, not even 100, there's probably 60 to 80 megahertz difference on the clock frequency. Really nothing on the average to be said. Memory clock frequency is about 500. Temperature is a big difference. 48 on the water cooled, 60s on the air cooled, which is quite interesting. Or, you know, it's passive air compared to water cooling, but I still would have expected this graphics card to be around 40 or 50. 60 just seems a fraction high. It does go up to 80. I have seen it go as high as 80. So I don't know, I'll keep an eye on that. My processor, which hasn't changed, as you can see, it's always been set at the same clock. Slight overclock, 45 from 42, and that's how it's always been. No change there. And general settings, my Windows are the only thing that's changed. It's still Windows 10, 64-bit, but obviously different iterations between beginning and now. Motherboard's exactly the same, nothing's changed there. Memory's not changed. And there you go, look, there's the memory there, crucial. So, yes, the graphics card's better. Yes, it looks prettier. RTX I wasn't blown away with, although I can see a difference in some games. Am I happy? Yes, I am. Is it worth the money? Most definitely. And if it lasts 3 or 4 years like my 1080 did, I'll be more than happy. And that's pretty much my result. The only other difference, or anything I've changed, is I've now gone with the 1 gig service on the internet with Virgin, but that shouldn't have any effect on these scores whatsoever. So there you go. Any comments are really welcome. If any suggestions as to why my scores have varied or why my CPU score has dropped, I'd be interested. I've not changed anything except for the graphics card, obviously. And if you like my videos, and even if you don't like my videos, please subscribe. And then you can turn it off in the app's notification. That way I keep your subscription, but you don't have to see me if you don't want to. I'll do it for anyone else who wants that done in return as a favour. Please do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and keep your eye out for some more videos in the future. Thank you and goodbye.